Hello, this is Nick Coons with the Red 7 YouTube channel again. Welcome back, and today I want to talk a little bit about custom software versus proprietary solutions, or off-the-shelf solutions rather. And the reason this topic came up is because Michael and I were actually discussing it the other day, and talking about how that's starting to be a larger part of our business. And because of some of the trends, I think it's going to become, if not more, a bigger part of Red 7, probably a larger part of the industry as a whole. I think more businesses, especially, will be turning more to custom-built solutions. That's just a personal opinion, but it's based on my observations. And the reason I think that is because a lot of the tools that are making software, developing software, they're making it easier. There's a lot more stuff out there now for programmers than there were maybe 10 years ago. You can build a web-based application that you deploy on one web server, and now all of the employees within the company have access to it. And so there's a lot more options available in what you can do. Faster bandwidth connections, for remote access, and more rich media to be able to do things online. So there's just so many different things that you can do that weren't so easy to do before, and so they're becoming more cost effective. Now, there's also a lot of things that people want to do that there just hasn't been software built for. I mean, there's hardware all over the place that can pretty much, that can do a lot. But there's just so much software yet that's waiting to be built that hasn't been written yet. And, the digital imaging, for paperless offices, phone recording and easy lookup for the owners via the web. I mean, there's just, you can just like go on and on for hours of different things that could possibly be done with some software, or with some custom software, with existing hardware, with stuff that already is out there. You just need to write the software for it. So there is a lot of off-the-shelf software for the most part for common tasks, office suites and accounting and things like that. And even for some niche stuff, there's some existing software out there. So when you're deciding on whether or not you want some custom software built for your business, there's a couple things to keep in mind. One is, what is it that the software is going to do? Is it essentially what you're wanting to do is to be less costly than having a person do the same thing. If you want to write some software that, say, will do credit reports for you, that will pull credit reports from Experian, do you want to have a person on staff that goes through and fills all this stuff by hand, or do you want to have an existing database where you can just go click and you have the report? Now, what would it cost to build that software, which is generally a one-time cost, versus what would it cost to have an employee spending however much time you would have them spend doing that? Would they spend an hour a week doing that? Would they spend 10 hours a day doing that? It all depends on what that task is and what the volume is, and so you kind of have to weigh those two things. Now, the other thing too, when you're comparing custom software versus an off-the-shelf solution, is that the price of custom software is going to be much more expensive. Because someone's writing one copy of it for you, for your business, and they're not able to replicate it and resell it over and over again. Because it's a custom solution. I mean, I guess they could use snippets of it and that sort of thing. But generally, if you're paying them to build the software for you, you kind of want them, that to be your software. And so, for instance, you might have an off-the-shelf solution that will do 90% of the job, and it will cost $500. Or you might look at a custom solution that'll do 100% of the job, and it costs $5,000. And you kind of think, well, for an extra 10%, it's going to cost 10 times more. I'm only getting a little bit more out of that software, but I'm paying 10 times more for it. And so initially, that might not seem like a good idea. But what you have to keep in mind is that what is that 10% going to cost you in man hours? Are you going to have someone, basically, if the software is doing 90% of the job, are they there for 45 minutes a day instead of 8 hours a day doing that particular task, because the software is doing the other 7 hours and 15 minutes, or whatever 90% comes out to be? Are they doing that? Is the software doing that for them? What's that 45 minutes costing you? How long will you have to pay that employee to work that 45 minutes to make the $4,500 back? And I guess it depends on how much that employee is worth, what their hourly rate is, what the benefits are, what the taxes are, what could they be doing with that 45 minutes instead. And so in a lot of cases, it could be worth it, but it all depends on the tasks. And this is generally more true with a company of a larger size. If you've got a company of 3 or 4 people, it might take a lot to justify spending that kind of money on software, and a lot of times it's not gonna be very feasible, because it would take you a very long time in man hours, or a lot of man hours, to recoup that initial cost, and those man hours are spread out over months or years. So you might not be interested in making that investment. On the other hand, if you have 10 or 20 or 30 people in your office, you might spend $5,000 versus $500 on software, but that's going to save you the equivalent of one employee at $3,000 a month. So now you've spent $4,500 up front to save $3,000 a month. Well, it takes you a month and a half to recoup that investment. So it's a pretty good deal. And so for companies that are of decent size, 10 employees and more, a lot of times custom software is a good idea, because the cost is gotten back, many times over, and very quickly. So what people are doing generally when they would turn off the idea of custom software is they'd be looking at just that initial cost versus the cost of an off-the-shelf solution, where the off-the-shelf solution is actually not providing all the tasks necessary. Now, the other benefit to custom software, aside from just the having the ability to have the software do exactly what you need to do right now, is that you can always have it tweaked. Once you have the software in place, and this is something that's kind of inevitable, in my opinion, it's something that I've noticed. Once you have the software in place, you start to realize, oh wait, we could have the software doing this. Oh, we could have it doing this. We don't have to have so many employees. We don't have to have so much space. We don't have to rent such a big office. We don't need as many phone lines. So you can save money in all sorts of places, and you just keep adding more and more function onto the software and really automate the whole business. In addition to saving money, because you're automating a lot of the process, is you're also reducing human error, because the fewer things that you have people doing as far as inputting data and such, the fewer errors you're going to have due to them making mistakes, because it's just going to happen. I mean, people are going to make typos and miss key things, and so that's not going to happen if you have an automated process doing it. Of course, unless there's a bug in the software, but then it's going to happen in a consistent way, and so you're going to be able to realize that and see it all the time. But so there's a couple different benefits for custom software, and obviously as a business owner, that would be something that you would have to weigh and look at the different options. And so I just kind of wanted to make you guys aware of what the different options are. That custom software can be written generally for less expensive than you would think, especially if you were looking at custom software maybe 5 or 10 years ago. It's gotten a lot cheaper because of the tools available now. And also the different possibilities. You can do so many different things with custom software. Basically anything that you can think of, for the most part, can be done, because hardware exists to do pretty much anything. I mean, there are scanners out there that'll scan 50 pages a minute that you could go paperless in your office with. There's software that will let you span desktops across multiple monitors, across multiple systems. There's interfaces that will let you tie your phone systems in, so you can integrate that. And, I mean, there's just so many different things. Whatever you could possibly think of, it can probably be done. So make sure you keep those things in mind when you're choosing whether or not you want to go with custom software and off-the-shelf solution. So thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to visit red7linux.com, fan us on Facebook, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks a lot.